They're going to actually spend more money than they're going to collect at that $600 level. Each of these marketplaces send out these 1099s, and once that's sent out, there's really no hiding. But every time I do a video about this, somebody always says, well, they ought to be paying tax. I get that. I get it. And you better run your numbers. You better get all that stuff straight. You better have all your deductions straight, or you're going to be paying taxes on the gross number as opposed to the net profit. I think everybody involved in this thinks it's stupid. Hello everybody, welcome back to Commonwealth Flipper. Welcome to the Commonwealth Cabin. I've been away for a while. You probably didn't notice it, but I've been away and now I'm back, and look what I come back to, y'all. Reagan has been doing she does a Christmas market every year, and she's been in here doing her ornament crafting, and she's doing it upstairs, she's doing it downstairs, it's all over. But it was so cold outside, she didn't want to keep it all out there, so she spray painted it out there and brought it into here, and there's all her paints and stuff. And there's all the ornaments. These are going to be launched on the 29th of November. We are partnering with one of the local animal shelters for this one. And of course, Reagan gets some of the money as well. And so we're going to put them over there on Whatnot on the 29th. I'll tell you what, here's what I might do. Because a lot of you don't do Whatnot. I think we'll take a small batch and put them on CommonwealthPicker.com before the 29th. We'll put them on Whatnot the 29th. And then I'll keep another batch aside and we'll put it on Commonwealth Picker again on the 29th. So those of you who get those every year, we do appreciate it, can have those. But today's topic is not all that. It's something I've been talking about for a long time. I kind of foreshadowed what I thought was going to happen, and it's exactly what I thought was going to happen, and I want to talk about that. And there's something a little bit different this year as it revolves around taxes and the IRS and 1099s. We can talk about that. And a lot of cool sales. Let's go take a look. We'll do 3 or 4, 5 maybe sales. Then we're going to get into the IRS discussion. The first item up, I think it's up here. This is kind of one of those strange items that I wouldn't know exactly where to put it. But I think I put it up here. There it is right there. Sweet. Look at that. I still remember. Well, I don't know what this is. This Modern Warfare goggles, 2009 goggles. These are awesome. They're easy to pass by, but I was lucky I grabbed these right here because this is a nice big sale. $115 for this one, plus shipping. Check these out, y'all. Reagan has signed and numbers each and every one of them this year. Really cool. We'll probably ship the low numbers out first on that initial Commonwealth Picker. I didn't want to talk about this, but it's sitting right in front of my face. There you go. She already showed them on the last episode. So, at any rate, I'm going to have to move all this stuff because I need room to ship. Next one, I'm headed right back to the exact same bin, and I think I saw a glimpse of it when I came in last time. Yep, yep, that's it right there. Pack Rat Machine Gun, 1983. The American Hero, part of our giant G.I. Joe lot, which we haven't sold any one, so I'm happy that one is out of here. Like I said, $16 plus shipping, take out $4 for fees, and that brings us to a total of $3,280 on that sale. Next sale is from the infamous lost Commonwealth Picker footage disaster debacle. Any rate, and I did go down to Florida, by the way, y'all. I picked for 4 days like crazy. Got tons of awesome stuff. Got some good footage, too. But this was lost footage. You'll never see me buy it. And that lady was hilarious, and she ran a hard bargain. But we did a giant lot of peanut stuff, and this was in it. And this was a really good one. 42, I don't even know what it says. Peanut shower curtain with the little hooks as well. And it sold for $43 plus shipping. Let's do 2 more real quick, and then we're going to talk about taxes. I think this one's down here. I keep my Case Logics down here. They're not fast sellers, but I absolutely love them. And every once in a while they sell. And this was part of a huge, just a massive cassette lot buy that I had. And I was really, really happy with it. Did really good on some rock stuff and some other stuff too, but I like the rock stuff. And this was in there. I'm like, well, we're going to sell that. $15 for that one plus shipping, and it's because of the teal around it. If you get just the plain Jane ones that aren't Case Logic, they're not really worth picking up, and these are barely worth picking up. This next sale is also from the lost footage yard sales, unfortunately, and I think, I don't know where I put these, to be honest with you. Probably down here somewhere. not. Keep looking. I'm looking for some White House ornaments, y'all. I would have put those in here or inside where I normally keep the ornaments, but those are flat. So maybe I did put them inside. Sometimes flat ornaments I'll put out here. My first guess was right. I had to come back down here and check. There they are right there. Set of 3, and they sold for $33. Man, I can't remember these days. What the heck did they sell for? $33 plus shipping. And some of these are good, some of them aren't so good. Different years are a little bit better, but they're a dime a dozen really these days. Used to be a little harder to get them. Now they're all over the place. And they still sell. So I don't know what years those are. 2012. 2014 and 2013. So 12, 13, 14 sold for $33 plus shipping. All right, let's talk about taxes for a second. So this is a topic people don't necessarily love to talk about, but it is a necessary evil. Matter of fact, I have a video coming up with Faith and Paul, my reseller Genie, and I was going to post that maybe at Thanksgiving. I might wait a little bit. I'm not sure. You'll see it eventually. I might put it on Garage Sale Nation. I might put it here. I think it's really, really important for people that want to grow their business. A lot of you folks have been doing it a long time. You already got the system down, but it can be a huge stress. Now, one thing we've been talking about now for 2 years is this reduction down to the $600 limit when they make sure that each of these marketplaces send out these 1099s. And once that's sent out, there's really no hiding. You better run your numbers. You better get all that stuff straight. You better have all your deductions straight, or you're going to be paying taxes on the gross number as opposed to the net profit. And that's a big deal. And some people get into this and they start doing it and they don't put those processes in place from the get-go, and they get caught. And it's, I don't mean caught, they get caught mentally in thinking, oh, look at all this money I'm making. And at the end of the year, it's like, what? I got to deal with this? And I think that's an issue. However, there's something that's come down the pike. A couple years ago, the $600 thing that they delayed last year, and I kind of, last time I talked about this, I said, you know what? They're probably going to delay it again this year. I don't know that for sure, but just reading the tea leaves out there, you could see it. But they added on one thing. I want to talk about that. I don't want to rehash everything, so I'm just going to say this at the beginning. You should be paying taxes on all net profit, period. But the key is to make sure it's net profit. Make sure you're taking all those deductions that are legal and correct, and you need to have processes in place. But that's not the argument for today. But every time I do a video about this, somebody always, well, they ought to be paying tax. I get that. I get it. So here's the deal. In, what was it, 2021, what do they call that? Recovery Act, National Recovery Act or something like that. They implemented this new scale where third parties, in this case it would be like eBay or some of these platforms, would need to issue 1099s at the $600 or above limit. That is a massive amount of people. That's somebody that's like who wanted to sell their iPhone. It's the only thing they sold of the year. And now all of a sudden they need to figure out how they're going to show the cost, which isn't that hard, but it's something that they probably didn't process. And so they don't have to pay taxes on that. And if they can't prove that, they got to pay taxes. Well, the old limits, if I can remember, old, well, they're not really old because they're still here, were $20,000 and 200 total transactions, I believe is what they've always operated under. Last year was supposed to go down to $600, and then very, very end of the year, they changed that, and I think it was the end of December even, and they're like, no, we're not going to do it this year. They just postponed it. So everybody's been waiting around this year to see what happens, and the announcement came sooner. They are going to postpone it again, and I'm going to read that to you in just a second. For the second year in a row, the IRS has decided to postpone the implementation of a rule that would affect tax filers who receive business income from their goods and services via payment apps and online marketplaces. The change might have resulted in, get this, 44 million more 1099K forms being sent in January to such filers. And that's the real reason behind this, including small business owners, freelancers, those with side hustles, and gig workers. In explaining why it's postponing the implementation, I'm going to re-explain their explanation and read between the lines. The IRS has cited concern over potential taxpayer confusion and the need to make it easier for all parties to comply with the change. I'm going to read a few more clips from it, but I'm not going to go through the whole thing. I'm just going to give you a little bit of, like I said, reading between the lines. Here's really what's going on here. So they implemented this thing because they thought that this gig economy has grown so much that they wanted to make sure that they could collect tax dollars from all these people who don't have regular jobs anymore. They also wanted to make sure that the traditional labor markets had labor, which we're still dealing with that issue, by the way. If you own a business out there, you know that. The brick and mortar places have struggled to have workers, essentially. And there's so much opportunity in these gigs that's part of this process, too, to inconvenience, make sure that there's a hurdle for all of us out there with non-normal jobs, make it a little bit more difficult and balance out the labor market. Now, that's my opinion, but I'm pretty certain that that's part of the equation. The other part of the equation here is in order to collect more tax revenue, you have to have a taxable base. A lot of these gig workers out there, if you're only making, the threshold is $600, let's say you're making $1,000 a year in gross, then you're going to get a 1099. Anybody with half a bit of sense can figure out ways to, not figure out ways, that sounds like it's like illegal. I mean legal ways to show no income whatsoever off of that. Especially, you know, if you bought a cell phone for $1,500 and you sold it for $6, for $8, it is a loss. So not only does the marketplace have to expend labor and time in pushing out these 1099s, but now, and this is the confusion part they talked about, most people would assume correctly that if I paid $1,200 for a phone and sold it for $800, why am I paying any tax? Well, you're going to get that form from the IRS because they get the 1099 form. You didn't pay your tax. They send it out to you and they say, you owe us money. And then, of course, you go through the rigmarole and you show, hey, this is what I paid for this thing. I don't owe any tax. Now, the IRS has expended a whole lot of time and energy and money, and they're collecting nothing. So everybody's doing all this stuff, and nothing's being collected. In other words, that number is far, far too low to make it economically feasible for the government to collect more money. They're going to actually spend more money than they're going to collect at that $600 level. I think everybody involved in this thinks it's stupid. Before I do that, I'm going to give away this eBay gift card, $25 gift card. Hashtag give an eBay gift card for Christmas this year, y'all. Help all of us eBay sellers out by giving a gift card to eBay instead of to a restaurant or to Amazon or something like that. Let's give something out to the folks around us that we normally give something to that might help us all out. The winner for that is Shay Glasser, I think I pronounced that right. Send me an email, commonwealthpicker@gmail.com. I'll send it off to you. We got one more giveaway to announce a little later in this episode, but let me talk about how, well, I don't know. This always gets touchy. I get the whole thing out there of there has to be a limit. If you're going to have all these gig workers, they need to pay taxes like everybody else with a real job. I totally get that. But that $600 number just makes no sense out there. The $20,000, you could argue that it's too high. Okay, that's fine. There's got to be a number in between there. I've said that for a while. That makes sense. So here's the next little piece of this. And that's in regards to 2024. But 2023, for this year, it's going to remain the way it was, the way it's been for a long time. 200 transactions, $20,000 in total. Let's see, platform earned more than $20,000. So that's the way it's been for quite a while. You'll get a 1099. At that point, if you're making that much gross and you don't have systems in place to make sure you get your deductions, then you should have already done it. I'm going to read the bit that's different than what they did last year. This is a little bit different, and I think it's pretty telling. It should forecast what's coming down the road. But I'm going to say this, for all of us people who do sell a lot on different marketplaces, if it was reduced to 600, it would actually benefit us. It would benefit us because there's a hurdle that's a really low hurdle for new people to enter into the market that might turn a certain percentage of them off. Now, I'm not in support of that, but a lot of people out there are, woe is me for all this, who have been doing it correctly for years, been doing all the deductions. It would actually be a benefit to us, but I don't like putting hurdles in front of anybody who's trying to make more money for their families, for their retirements, for their kids' college funds, to get out of debt, to go on vacation. I think that burden should be pretty low, and at the same time, I think that all of us should do our due diligence, make sure what's lawful, what's legal, what you can deduct, what you can't deduct. Make sure you're keeping track of everything so you're not paying more tax than you're supposed to. Here's the last bit, and I'll get to picking orders here, but the IRS on Tuesday said for the tax year 2024, rather than implement the $600 threshold it will be phased in. So basically they're already saying next year there won't be a $600 threshold as well. They're not going to do that, which is good to know in advance. You know, this kind of stuff is pretty important to know in advance, right? So they won't do the $600. They'll phase in the change and only require third-party platforms to issue the 1099-K if your business transactions exceed $5,000. Now, I'm not convinced that it'll be $5,000. I still think that's far too low. But at least they've given us something. It does not look like it'll be lower than $5,000. We talked about the Informed Consumer Act earlier this year, and matter of fact, it's probably been a year now, and they had a little coalition that was fighting against it that failed pretty badly. But this one has a bigger coalition, and you'll see why. The Coalition for 1099-K Tax Fairness, members of which include the Electronics Transactions Association, Airbnb, PayPal, Eventbrite, Etsy, Poshmark, and others, said that the delay will give members of Congress time to come up with a permanent bipartisan fix to the rule. What are the chances that'll happen? Lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, including Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, have pushed for a higher threshold to be used. So there you go. And I think that if there's a bipartisan answer to this that makes the IRS do a certain number, because the IRS is seemingly right now, the rule is 600, they're like, yeah, we're not going to do it, right? So if there is a bipartisan solution, it will likely be 5,000 or higher is my guess. Actually, reading through that, there's one more thing I want to mention, but let me pull an order or two here. Peanuts Nutcracker finally sold, been here for a while. And that guy right there sold for no, it didn't. It sold for a bunch. Did it sell for $36? Yeah, $36 plus shipping. Quick thank you to Corleen, who bought the Snoopy Nutcracker. I'm a viewer and repeat buyer. Love your videos. Saw this Nutcracker and had to have it. Thank you, Corleen. Corleen, thank you. I think it's awesome, and I think you'll love it. Sold a modern Hard Rock t-shirt. Look at that. See, screen printed on the inside. Extra large Orlando. Now it's over $16 plus shipping. A little bit more than I thought I'd get for it. All right, last little bit. Regardless of the delay of the rule change, your tax obligations stay the same. I mentioned that already, but it goes, without saying. Neither the delay or the rule change nor the eventual implementation of it will change your tax burden. That's because you've always been obligated as a taxpayer to report the money you make from the business, etc. to the IRS. The difference once the rule change goes into effect is that the IRS will be learning about your business income from a third-party platform as opposed to you self-reporting. And let's face it, y'all, let's be honest, there's a lot of folks out there who try to control that income level because they're on some kind of a benefit where they'll lose that benefit if they make too much money. And there's kind of the sticky point right here. That's why I think there might be a bipartisan solution, because different parties are protecting different special interests and both are affected here. This is not a political statement here. I'm not making any politics of this. I'm just trying to give you the picture. And so it goes on to say that will make it harder for someone to evade the taxes they owe if they're tempted to underreport what they made, and the change will effectively pull back the curtain on just how much business income is being generated on third-party payment platforms. And let's face it, that's growing exponentially every year, not just in the reseller world, but in the Uber and Lyft and Airbnb, and there's so many things at DoorDash, and we could just go on forever about it. Sometimes I find items at yard sales that are I can't leave them behind, even though I know they're slow sell-through rate and they're not much money, and this was one of them. And I've had this one for over a year. It's Hilda Hippo. You might recognize that if you know the Richard Scarry stuff. And there it is right there. Any rate, I used to read these with my boy a little bit, and Reagan too. I saw that for like $1, and I'm like, I'm buying it. It's got a few issues, but eventually it'll sell. And guess what? It did, $10 plus shipping. And I just saw it went to a viewer, went to Jesse. Big fan of your YouTube channel. Keep up the great work. Is there any way you can send me an autograph? Please and thank you. So we always throw these, not on every single order, but if we suspect it might be from a viewer, we always throw these cards in right here. And any order that goes in CommonwealthPicker.com or whatnot, any of that stuff, we always throw in the stickers and a little signed card. Thank you, Jesse. I hope you enjoy it. Next one I've had for a little while, and I'm glad I bought them, but I knew they'd sit more than likely, and they sat for a while. But they did eventually sell. Every time you find these books like this, this is Childcraft, and I bought this. It's not the fastest selling set around. I'm not even going to be able to get it out, but you can see how good a condition that was. And I think they wanted, like, I don't even think they cared. I want to say I paid like a couple of bucks or something. I joked with them. I'm like, how much are you going to pay me to get them out of here? And they sold right there. They sold for $40 plus shipping. Books are not hard. They're heavy, but they're easy to ship. I hear a scratch. Sounds like a pepper scratch, not a Wallen scratch. But sometimes Wallen's behind. He's not now, though. How you doing, kitty? Here's your treats. If you've been around this channel for a while, last year, Pepper was on there. And Wallen's on it this year. The year before it was Sophie, and the year before that was an Enema Man, which, by the way, reminds me, we don't have all those ornaments. It's about time to decorate for Christmas. So hopefully for the next show, Reagan's already told me she'll come down here and help me decorate. Maybe I can get Blue Ridge Mama to do the same, and we'll have our Christmas tree up. Sold an old little vintage Blum Old Pumpkin. This is one of those things, like, for a quarter, I can't leave it there, even though I know it's not worth too much money. But this one was made by, it's 1985, made by Plastics Assembly Corporation, made in the USA. And those little ones, really kind of hard. They're worth a little bit of money. That one sold for $9 plus shipping. It's easy to be distracted by the Walmart ones that go for 99 cents that are made in the USA. But just look, see if you can find a date or a different manufacturer and look them up. Sometimes you can make a little bit. And I like making some money. Can you see this, cat? What are you doing in there? I'm going to show you the next one right here. Sold a lot of 3 posters, including that Scrooge poster. I think it's Donald Duck in there. Who else is in there? I guess you're looking at it. Mickey and the Beanstalk. And that sold for $35 plus shipping, and it went to Jason. Hi, Kevin. Me and my wife have been watching for about 2 years. They started a while back doing part-time, and they found out that his 20-year career in publishing, or printing, sorry, was coming to an end. We have been full-time ever since, and you and your family have been great teachers. Well, I don't know about that, but thank you. We are Shiloh Trading Post on eBay and on Whatnot. We also have an in-store presence at Dave's Cleanouts and Collectibles in Mount Joy, Pennsylvania. The Scrooge is for Dave. It's his favorite. God bless Jason and Andrea. Well, thank you. I appreciate that very much. It reminds me, we have a Whatnot show, a total giveaway show as a thank you to y'all. This is where we're gonna be selling those. We're gonna put some over on Commonwealth Picker, but don't tell anybody. I wanted this audience to have just, maybe we'll put 10 over there. And then on the 29th of November, we'll put all these in, well, not all of them. We'll put half of them in the Buy It Now and Whatnot. If you've never signed up, you can use that link below, and you can get a free 15 bucks, and you can get these. I think they're selling for 22. Reagan told me this year, after we totaled up all the costs and stuff, and we're going to do a little charity work with it as well. Since the animals appear on them, they go to animal shelters, different ones each year. And of course, Reagan makes a lot of money off of these. She puts in a lot of work, though. They were made by Two of a Kind Custom Designs. Thank you to both of you. You guys are awesome. You can find them on Facebook. And the design work with my wife and Reagan was done by Jess B. Crafton on Instagram. It's a little ironic, but I bought this at the same sale over a year ago that I bought these two. And the only reason I bought them is because they were absolutely dirt cheap. And I mean, look, I didn't even change the tape. You know, some kid put that tape on 40 years ago or something. And that one sold with the other one that's down here. And they didn't sell for much. I think I paid 50 cents a piece for these. And a quarter for that. And these sold for, I think, if that's where I got them. Pretty sure that's where I got them. Sold for $30 plus shipping. Next one is something I used to sell a bunch. Then I stopped selling them because they weren't really going for very much anymore. But I looked this one up when I was at a sale just to see what the market was. And it was back up a little bit. This was a great sale. This is also lost footage. I bought a ton of records at the sale. But this was there too. And it is a, I think that's right. I think that's where I got it. It's a Betty Crocker recipe box. And it's green. And green ones do okay. And this was in great shape. You don't want to buy them with, you know, tons of empty spots. You want the whole set in there. And I'm not going to open it up because it's got shrink wrap around it. But that one sold for $30 plus shipping. And I think I paid $1 for it. I don't talk a lot about shrink wrap, but I've been using it a little bit more lately, and then, you know, just to kind of keep things secure, because we take pictures out there and bring them in here, and sometimes things get wobbly and you lose stuff. And we used to take the pictures in here, and it was just a mess all the time in here. And so having a dedicated space is kind of cool, but shrink wrap it, you know, you just put bubble wrap around it, put it in the right size box. They are a little heavy, but It doesn't really matter depending on where it's going, I suppose. Weight doesn't matter as much as size these days, it sure seems. And we'll put it in the box, you know, American Bubble Boy link. Check that link below. Or if you need tape, go check it out, code Commonwealth, and you can get, what can you get? 5% off. Not the bubble wrap, but you can get off the tape. That reminds me of something else. We're going to give away some bubble wrap over there on that free giveaway whatnot show on the 29th. Everything is free. Everything is free. But we gave this away, and I forgot to announce the winner for it. This came from Joel, an American Bubble Boy, and it was a gift, and we have quite a bit of syrup up there. And I'm like, you know what? Let's give away some of his sealed air Instapack that he sent and give away that. And the winner is, if I can find it, it is Breeze Flippers. Send me an email, commonwealthpicker@gmail.com. And I think we have one more pack of tape to give away, and we might do that in the next couple of shows. It's an old Mickey watch, and they don't go for a lot. You know, they were made pretty, we made a ton of them. But we bought so many watches for so cheap. I'm like, yeah, we'll list that over there. It's in pretty good condition, made in Japan watch. And it sold for $11 plus shipping, paid 50 cents. And I would just pack that in, and that's a tough one, right? You could probably get away with packing it in a poly mailer. But, by the way, it's sold as is. It needs a new battery. I don't even bother doing all that stuff. The prices just aren't worth it, so I sold it as is. If it's tested working, you might get 15 bucks for it. So, depending on the style and what's in it. Some of them go really well, but most of them are just kind of like this. They're like, eh. But I wanted to mention shipping. I probably put that in a 4x4x4 box, but I want to give a thank you to Anthony, who bought plans for the Commonwealth Picker shipping table over on CommonwealthPicker.com. Hey, I mentioned earlier that my reseller Genie came down, and when we went out to dinner, we hung out for a while, and we did a video with him. And we're going to show you that video in a little bit for those of you who are interested. But I also wanted to mention that starting the 24th, which should be yesterday, if you're watching, do I have my dates right? Anyway, the 24th, you know what the date is for you. They're offering a discount up until December 7th. My old history teacher comes out in my mind when I hear December 7th, 1941. They're offering 50% off the first month, and you can go over there and try it. So if heading into 2024, you have that resolution, you know, it's probably a good idea to find something that works for you. I think my reseller Genie is absolutely the best, but as long as you have something, you're good. If you want to go give them a shot, they have reasonable prices, automation. You can watch that video, but it's 50% off if you go through my link down there or over on CommonwealthPicker.com, or you can go through the link in, I don't know, wherever I have the links, Instagram on the link tree. You can go through that link, use, my code is normally Commonwealth, but use code Commonwealth50 and you'll get 50% off instead of 15% off. I'm not sure if that's all caps. Try all caps. Commonwealth50 will get you 50% off your first month. I got Reagan in here, and I told them that we were going to put like 10 of these over there on Commonwealth Picker earlier than the 29th because y'all want that stuff out. So anyway, this is a thank you for who? Who was it? What something?
Daniela.
Daniela. Thank you, Daniela. What'd she get?
CWP sticker, Trash to Cash shirt, and a gray CWP shirt.
Gray CWP shirt. Thank you, and thank you for all your work over there on CommonwealthPicker.com. We appreciate it.
Bye, and don't forget to get your sticker at CommonwealthPicker.com.
Had a little cross-listing sale right here. Sold one of these the other day. And this is a Lauer water baby. And that one sold for $31 plus shipping. Huh. Who'd have known? Wallen is in here. Wallen says, I want these trees right here, don't you? Huh. So we're doing some shipping. Listening to some music. All right, y'all. It's a little cold in here. I had to go get my jacket on. Turn the heater on over there. Couple reminders, don't forget, Commonwealth 50, all caps. Go over to my reseller Genie or check the link below if you're interested in trying it out. If you're not, and you're new to this, or maybe you're under that threshold, but you're not going to be underneath it for long, you better get that stuff taken care of. I tell you right now, I know tons of people who have quit over that reason, and I've actually went and bought their stuff all out. I did it about a month ago, actually. They're like, hey, I got to get rid of this stuff because I don't want to deal with this anymore. So if you get your stuff straight, you'll be in the game a little bit longer. I'm partial to my reseller Genie, but there's a lot of different methods out there. I think it's really, really important. You know, if you've got advice down below, you know, go ahead and give it down there too. Don't forget also the absolute free giveaway. Nothing but free giveaways. over there on the 29th of November as a thank you from us to you. New items or new old stock items. This isn't just going to be throwaway junk. There's some, they're not ridiculously expensive, but they're things you definitely could put in stockings, and a few things in there that are great gifts to give away as well. We're continually adding to it. So go on over there. Use that link below if you wouldn't mind. If you're brand new to it, you get a free 15 bucks. But we're going to do a ton of giveaways, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Thank y'all for joining us, and I can't wait to see you next time.